Past Reason Hated by Peter Robinson. Read by Neil Pearson. Snow fell on Swainsdale for the first time that year, a few days before Christmas, and in Eastvale most of those crossing the market square on the evening of December the 22nd felt a surge of joy as the fat flakes drifted down, glistening in the gaslight. Outside the Norman church there stood a tall Christmas tree, in front of which children in cassocks were singing Once in Royal David's City, their voices fragile but clear. And on her way back to the police station, D.C. Susan Gay paused, tilted her head, and let the snowflakes melt on her eyelids. 2 weeks ago she would not have allowed herself to do something so spontaneous and frivolous. But now she was Detective Constable Gay, she could afford to relax a little. It was her second day on the job, and all was well. She'd finished, for now, with courses and exams, and there would definitely be no more walking the beat or market day traffic duty. In front of her, over the doorway of the Tudor-fronted station, hung the new blue lamp, straight out of Dixon of Dock Green. She pushed open the door and headed upstairs. Upstairs, the inner sanctums of the CID. She'd envied them all for so long, Gristhorpe, Banks, Richmond, even Hatchley, but no longer. She was one of them now, and was about to show them a woman could do the job every bit as well as a man, if not better. She was the only CID on duty that evening, and she'd just poured herself a cup of coffee when the phone rang. It was Sergeant Rowe at the front desk. "Someone's reported a murder." Susan felt the adrenaline flow. "Where?" "Oakwood Mews, that tarted-up Bijou Terrace back of King Street." "I know it." "A neighbour phoned in, said the woman next door went rushing into the street screaming that her friend had been murdered." "What's the house number?" 11. "Right. Send P.C. Tolliver down there. Tell him to stay by the door and not let anyone in till we get there." Susan hung up, her heart beating fast. A murder. Okay. Calm down, she told herself. Follow procedure. Do it right. "I think Jim's pissed," said Detective Chief Inspector Alan Banks. Sandra, his wife, nodded. In a corner of the Eastvale Rugby Club banqueting room by the Christmas tree, Detective Sergeant Jim Hatchley was standing with a group of cronies, all as big and brawny as himself, each with a pint in his hand. They were swaying as they sang 24 Virgins Came Down from Inverness. Carol Hatchley, meanwhile, the sergeant's blushing new bride, sat beside her mother and fumed. The couple had just changed out of their wedding clothes in readiness for their honeymoon, but, true to form, Hatchley had insisted on just one more pint, which had quickly turned into 2, then 3. The wedding had taken place that afternoon, followed by a meal at the club. Now it was 8:20. The speeches had been made, the plates cleared away, and the party was beginning. Banks was leaning against the bar with Sandra, Superintendent Gristhorpe, and D.S. Philip Richmond, who was looking very pleased with himself. And well he might, although he'd passed his sergeant's examination with flying colours and shown remarkable aptitude on the job. There hadn't been room for 2 detective sergeants in the small station. Recently, however, Eastvale's regional borders had been redrawn to include a section of the coastline between Scarborough and Whitby. It seemed a good idea to place a small CID outpost there, so Gristhorpe had asked Hatchley if he fancied living by the seaside, and he'd said yes. After all, it was still in Yorkshire. Consequently, Hatchley and his new wife were off to Saltby Bay that night, or the way things were now going, next morning. Richmond had his promotion at last, and Susan Gay had been brought upstairs as their new DC. The ball of Kirriemuir was coming to a close now, and with a bit of luck, Banks hoped that would be the end of the rugby songs, and the sulky DJ, who'd been pretending to set up his equipment for the past hour, would get his chance to shine. But when the song finally came to an end, and despite groans from the audience and a look of fury from Carol, the choir of rugby forwards refused to leave the stage without giving their rendition of Good King Wenceslas. However, a long, loud blast of feedback
Sample complete. Ready to continue?